Hi, everybody. I am Christina Colclough. I run the Why Not Lab, which trains workers across the world on understanding how digitalization is affecting our work and working conditions, but not least what we can do about it. I've been fortunate to work with PSI for a number of years now on their Our Digital Future project. Hopefully, our paths have crossed as part of that, but if not, then you've really started engaging in an important topic for unions by joining this workshop here. This video is going to be a little bit of an introduction to how you can use the Digital Bargaining Hub. We'll be sort of utilizing a scenario which is a real life scenario. It's something from one of your sister unions across the world that has told us, informed us about this, and something that we can see is spreading to a lot of workers in the public services, but also private services. So this is really something that we have to understand. So here is the scenario, and hang on, there's a lot of information to be had here. The case is Zanelli. She works in an office and she's also a shop steward. She informed us that a year ago, the staff were asked to download an app onto their private mobile phones. Management said the app should be used for them to clock in and clock out of work. But then some months later, management announced that they had added new functions to the app. And the functions were, making it easier for the workers to change shifts, to take an extra shift. They could answer short well-being questions. They could take short courses and all sorts of other small functions. Management said this was all about increasing workers' job satisfaction. It's now been 6 months since these new features were added, and Zanelli, she called for a union meeting because some of her colleagues began to come up to her with queries and questions about messages they had begun to receive via the app. Now, it turns out that these messages were different from colleague to colleague. One colleague received one, "Remember to exercise, it makes you feel good." Another colleague received one, "It's important to sleep well. Here's a link to a sleep hypnosis program." A third colleague got one, "We must provide the best service to the public. Remember to take a course to improve your skills." A fourth colleague received one which was, "Our success relies on dedicated staff. Take a shift, an extra shift now and again in solidarity with your colleagues." Zanelli and her colleagues, they were discussing these various messages and they didn't feel comfortable with this. And why were they getting them and how and why were they different? So they decided firstly that they would figure out what's causing these messages, and then they would put some collective bargaining demands together for their next collective bargaining negotiations. So let's have a look at the problems here. Now, firstly, of course, the first problem is that management never informed or consulted with the workers before they introduced the app. They just announced it. And they also just announced the new features. So already here, there's a problem of total disregard or disrespect of the workers. The second problem has to do with these messages. Now, they come about because, as some of you might already know, there are 14 sensors inside a mobile phone. Now, one of the most common sensors is GPS. You probably use your mobile phone if you have to find a new location or a smart route from A to B. So now that this app is on their private mobile phone, it's probably using the GPS sensor. It knows where you are. It knows where you're going. Have you ever thought about it also knows how quickly you're getting there? Are you in a car? Are you walking? Are you in a train? So the colleague who got the message around, "Don't forget to exercise," obviously this is an indication that the app is utilizing the GPS data to find out whether workers are moving and whether they're ever moving at a pace that indicates they're out for a walk or run, for example. The one on "Don't forget to sleep well." Now, this one, I really think we all might feel a little bit touched here because I bet many of you charge your phone at night uh, next to you in bed. So if you think about it, it's evening. The majority of people, apart from those on a night shift, they go to bed in the evening at some point. Your phone gets an indication of when you're asleep because of what? Because you stop using it, you see. It also knows when you probably have woken up because the majority of us, the first thing we do is to look at our mobile phone, or you might even use your mobile phone as an alarm clock. So it now knows when did you go to bed and when did you wake up. The sneaky thing is, though, it knows whether those hours were uninterrupted. Because I bet you if you wake up at night and you're having a nightmare or you can't sleep, you're probably looking at your phone. So now management's app on your private phone is giving them information of how many hours did you sleep? Was it uninterrupted sleep? Are you typically awake for how many minutes or hours per night? So therefore, the colleague who got the message, here's a link to a sleep hypnosis program, that is an indication that management's app is collecting their sleep data. The other two messages are almost more clear. Take an extra shift now and again is obviously sent to a worker who never took an extra shift because that was one of the features in the app. And so was the short course or training courses. That was also a feature in the app. But you see, it's kind of passive aggressive, isn't it? To get a message, don't forget to take a course. We have to be dedicated to our public. Or the other one, which was, show solidarity with your colleagues and take an extra shift. Well, you're not forced to take an extra shift, but here it's kind of forcing you to. So here we have the explanations to these messages. But they, of course, reveal a lot of problems. Number one, as I said before, never consulted or informed before the introduction of this app. And then the very fact that the app is collecting data inside and outside of working hours. They're tracking whether you're exercising after work, how you sleep, and so on. That's a big problem. And then, thirdly, of course, a big problem is you don't know how management is using this data. Are they using it to find out who to fire next or who to discipline? So there's other problems, but these are the three big ones that then you could jump into the digital bargaining hub and try and find out, have other unions experienced something similar and what did they successfully negotiate in their collective agreement? In this particular case, of course, if you go into the digital bargaining hub, you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen 8 themes, sorry. But the first one, number one, is called information and consultation. Now, in this case, of course, Sanella and her colleagues were not consulted before the introduction of this app, nor did they receive proper information about its purpose, what data is being collected, and so on. So go in there, have a look at the clauses, see if there's inspiration that you can draw on to put some demands together towards management. The second theme that's very important in this case, if you look further down, it's theme number 5 on data protection and data rights. In this case, we now know that the app is collecting data outside of working hours. We also don't know how management is using this data, for what purpose. Are they just collecting it to have it, or are they collecting it for employee evaluation purposes? So jump again into that theme and see what other unions have negotiated. So this was a short introduction to how you possibly could use the digital bargaining hub. Maybe you work in a workplace that hasn't or doesn't use digital technologies yet, but jump in there anyway. Find out what are your brothers and sisters across the world experiencing and how are they dealing with this. You can also use the digital bargaining hub for educational purposes. You might want to run a short workshop for your colleagues or for your union members. So really have a look at this valuable resource. It's the first database in the world on collective bargaining language negotiated by unions from across the world. It's open and it's for everybody. And then lastly, if you have successfully negotiated language on digital issues and it's not in the digital bargaining hub, please send it to us, because the bigger the hub gets, the stronger and more inspiration that we can offer your colleagues, brothers and sisters across the world. So thank you very much, and good luck with all of your negotiations and discussions with management to ensure that digitalization not only serves profit, but also, of course, people and our planet. Thank you.